Locked on NFL Thursday. We're going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans against the Green Bay Packers, a Scooby-Doo game, as I'm calling it. Then a classic game of contender, pretender as we head into the second half of the season. And then finally, as we always do on Thursday, what are the most interesting games on this weekend slate? All of that and more on a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Let's roll.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Football fans, we finally have an incredibly intriguing Thursday night football matchup between the recently hot Green Bay Packers and the confusingly hot Tennessee Titans. So we'll get into a preview of that game. Before we do, want to let you know that today's episode of Locked On NFL is presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Thank you guys for making Locked On NFL your first listen every day. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream for Monday through Friday, free NFL content. I am one of your local experts, Tyler Rowland, although it does say that I am Ross Jackson, here with my other co-host, who isn't Luke Braun, but is the local expert we know as Alex Clancy. So got a lot to talk about. Let's dive right into this Thursday night football matchup. And Alex, obviously, as you know, I do cover the Tennessee Titans as our video host, consumers could see here. So I'll let you go first. What's your read on this game? What are you looking for?
I'm looking to see if Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson can do it again. Because that's the most intriguing thing to me about this game. Tennessee's, they've been fun in recent years. I find them incredibly boring this year. And it's not that their style, the NFL is never boring, but compared to like storylines and things like that, they peaked this offseason. And then Derrick Henry's been Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill's been banged up. The Malik Willis is fun, but who is he throwing the ball to? What are we doing here? Why is Robert Woods even there if he's not getting it? Like what's happening in Tennessee? But the exciting part about Tennessee is they know who their leader is. They've got a stable organization. Mike Vrabel at the helm. You know who the leader of that team is. We talked about this last week also. You know who the leader, and that is boring is good when it comes to that. The Steelers are boring. The Patriots are boring because you know what the stability is there just to win losses. But for me, Aaron Rodgers to Christian Watson 3 times last week. If Christian Watson could unlock the fountain of youth in Aaron Rodgers, 100%. And it could cause him to stay there if he becomes a true wide receiver 1. So I want to see if they can do it again on Thursday night in front of the bright lights.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. Last week, the Dallas Cowboys played about 75% man coverage against the Packers, and you got 3 Christian Watson touchdowns, different situations. The Titans vary their defense. They'll play man coverage around 30%, around league average, but they'll also run a ton of different types of coverages, cover 3, cover 4, palms, things like that. So I think the Titans will go with primarily zone coverage to try to limit what Aaron Rodgers can do with Christian Watson down the field, because you just simply can't give up explosive plays to a Packers offense that's kind of had to grind it out for most of the year until this Watson explosion, really. So for me, I expect the Titans defense to play a lot of zone coverage to try to clean that up and not let that happen. On the other side of the ball, the last time the Packers played the Titans, they ran 6 guys on the line of scrimmage almost consistently every snap, no matter what, and really tried to clog up the Titans zone run scheme. Will the Titans come out and run some more power runs? And there was a great segment on NFL Live recently with Mina Kimes, Dan Orlovsky, Marcus Spears, and they talked about how the NFL is going to more power run, and the run game is becoming more prevalent in the NFL, going away from maybe more pass-happy attacks. So can the Titans counter what the Packers did to shut down their zone run a couple years ago and get more power runs going? That's something that I'm going to be looking for. I'm calling this game a Scooby-Doo game. because I think when you look at the Packers, they're 4-6, but they look like they should be better than 4-6. And then you look at the Titans, they're 6-3, and it looks like the Titans shouldn't be as good as they are. So can the Titans go on the road at Lambeau Field, a tough environment, against a Packers team that's finally getting hot, kind of catching their win after that terrible loss to Detroit?
Right.
Can the Titans prove, oh, wow, even though the Titans are boring, like you said, and they have been one of the worst offenses in the NFL, can they prove, oh, we may be all of that you don't love to watch, but we're a contender, and we went into Lambeau on a short week and beat up the two-time defending MVP and his hot weapon in Christian Watson. That's who we are, the Titans. And then people will start to be like, oh, okay, that's who the Titans really are. On the flip side, you would be like, yeah, the Packers season is cooked. They're 4-7. This team isn't going to be anything. They're not going to make that run. They're too far out, blah, blah, blah. On the other side, if the Packers win, it's like, oh, here come the Packers. Right. Here come the Packers. That's what everyone's going to be saying. It's, oh, the Titans are who we thought they were, 6-4. Yeah, they're pretenders, nobody to worry about. So this is a Scooby-Doo game because we're going to be taking the mask off both these teams by the end. I have the Packers winning 24-17. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Yeah, I think that's about right. But I'm going to flip it. I think the Titans are going to win this game. And the reason why is we're now getting to the part of the NFL season where the Titans flourish. They can travel and play in any weather. It doesn't matter. If you're going to inclement weather places, if you're going to Lambeau on a Thursday night, that's going to be raucous for the 13 people that fit in that small ass arena, field of the 28 people that live in Green Bay. Like, they running the ball, there's no real difference in snap count. There's no checking at the line when it's a run play. If you're a run first team, you can win anywhere if you run effectively. Yeah. And so what's the deal? And Ryan Tannehill's gonna play tomorrow. So he's back. Like, do you think, let me ask you this before we move on, because I know we have to break, but do you think there's a world that we live in where Malik Willis can be used in packages effectively and not just gimmickly? Like, we saw him run with the big boys, like physically run with the big boys at a very high level. Can you utilize him as a weapon, not necessarily as a quarterback, until it's time for him to take over the reins at quarterback?
They've tried to at times with Ryan Tannehill still being the starter, and Malik just – last week, they tried to do it on a 3rd and 2, run a read option with him and Henry, and Malik fumbled the ball. Like, when he's not in the game and he doesn't have a rhythm to himself, he just, whenever they put him in, they tried to run a jet sweep to him a month ago or so, and it turned into a fumble. So I just think there's been too many mistakes to try to do that willy-nilly. It hasn't worked. So in theory, yeah, I get it. It seems like it would be a good idea to kind of spruce this offense up, but it just simply hasn't worked, and it doesn't seem like he's ready to be out there consistently to do things like that. So I just don't see them going to that in a big spot. But either way, it's going to be a Scooby-Doo game. We're going to know who these people really are, who these teams really are by the end. We'll find out whether they're contenders or pretenders. And speaking of that, we're going to talk a little contender, pretender halfway through the NFL season. Before we get into it, though, do want to let you know that today's episode of Locked On NFL is sponsored by Blue Nile. Whether you're looking to pop the question, have a milestone to celebrate, or just want to let your love sparkle, Blue Nile can help make your celebration even more memorable. As the original online jeweler, Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces priced significantly below traditional retailers. They have 24/7 experts on hand via phone and via chat to help you through the entire process. And if you're somebody like me who doesn't know a lot about jewelry, that is very reassuring. Shop stress-free with Blue Nile's 100% satisfaction guarantee. Make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com. Use code LOCKEDON. You're going to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. That's BLUENILE. BlueNile.com. Code LOCKEDON to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. BlueNile.com. Promo code Locked On. Also want to tell you guys about Tommy John. Tommy John is just absolutely the most comfortable loungewear you are gonna find. And look, this holiday season, you don't want to get stuck in those Black Friday crowds. That is against everything that Tommy John stands for. They are all about super duper comfortable. And what's more comfortable than Tommy John's Black Friday sale from your couch? Whether you're going to give your loved ones some Tommy John or you're going to get them for yourself, The Black Friday sale is going to go on right now, and you're going to be able to give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list. Again, if that includes yourself. With over 18 million pairs sold, Tommy John has become a holiday tradition. 97% of women and men love getting a gift from Tommy John. So shop Tommy John's Black Friday sale going on right now and get 30% off site-wide at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. That's 30% off everything right now at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. TommyJohn.com/lockedon. See site for details.
Second segment here, Locked On NFL Thursday. He is Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans at Tic Tac Titans on Twitter. Do you know how long it took for me to say Tic Tac Titans without fumbling over my words? It took a long time.
It's a Tic Tac tongue twister.
Well, because it's Tic Tac Tyler is kind of the thing that you want to say, but the team happens to have a T. It doesn't matter. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, at Clancy's Corner, Monday through Friday, free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube for both of us, respectively. Thanks for making Locked On NFL your first listen each and every day. As I mentioned, free and available on all platforms. Now, check out your second listen. Like, Locked On Podcast Network has a lot of fun stuff to listen to and to watch. Locked On Sports Today is no different. From the games that matter the most and the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Tyler and I will do this twice a year, I think. Twice a year, probably once in the offseason after free agency. We're going to do Contender or Pretender. And if you haven't listened to this podcast, first of all, thank you for making this one your first. Tyler likes to write things down, and he likes to quiz me. I like to react in real time to things that Tyler does. Namely his takes where I say he's wrong most of the time, which is fantastic. But when it comes to something like this, I know we haven't even talked about this. I know he has a list already, and I know he's ready to quiz me. And he's going to give his thoughts on them as well. I have a couple in my back pocket that I'll ask him about. But Tyler, the floor is yours.
Okay, so Contender, Pretender. Going to throw out a couple of teams. You tell me. Number one, we're going to start in the NFC East, the New York Giants.
Contender. And the reason why, I've been waiting to say this. I can't wait until we talk about the Washington Professional Football Team also. Because I'm going to ask that one if you don't have that on your list. The Giants are a contender because of who they have at head coach. Stability immediately. You can't fake it. It's not learned. It's not grown. It's either there or it's not. And what they need to do in an effort to move forward and potentially make some weird noise, just like Eli Manning used to do out of nowhere, seemingly going 8-8 and winning a Super Bowl, is give the ball to Saquon Barkley and mitigate any sort of real risk or minimize any sort of real risk that Daniel Jones can pose. They've got the pass rush. Their offensive line is gelling. And if Daniel Jones can become an elevated game manager with flashes of brilliance, the Giants can really be a team that people are laughing now will look at it and be like, how are they in the NFC Championship game? Well, they've got all the pieces aside from potentially a wide receiver one.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to say what it is, and we'll go to the next team. I do like Brian Dable, I agree, but I don't trust Daniel Jones in a big spot, so I'm going to say they're pretenders. I would pick, if they were a home team or favorites in a playoff game, I would slam the underdog. I don't trust Daniel Jones. Moving forward, though, we'll stay in the NFC East. The Commanders, that's an easy one for me. They're pretenders. I don't trust the roster. Don't trust Taylor Heineke, so that's an easy one for me.
I agree. But Taylor Heineke at his day. My two boys, Daniel Jones, Taylor Heineke, and Jared Goff, my three truthers, the triumvirate of trutherdom. Taylor Heineke had a big night.
Yeah, 2 for 3. Your boys are shining in the sun. The Green Bay Packers, I'll keep this short because I kind of explained where my head was at. I think this is a Scooby-Doo game between them and the Titans. The Packers are going to win. We're going to pull off the mask on the Packers, and it's going to be like, oh, they had some early season struggles and some up and down moments, but this team is ready to go and be a real contender. So I'm going to say Packers contenders.
I say pretender because they don't have the roster for it. The defense isn't good enough right now as expected. And, Aaron Jones hobbled. He and A.J. Dillon have really not been great this year, especially A.J. Dillon. So I'm going to say pretender until they rattle off a couple more in a row like he did, a handful of years ago to get in the playoffs? No, pretender.
Okay, this is a quick one. Seattle. I'm going to say pretender, same thing. I like their roster. I like what they do, but I don't trust Geno Smith in a big spot, regardless of how well he's played this year. And I think their defense has the ability to give up a lot of points. And I just think at the end of the day, they're a good team. They're a surprising team. They'll get into the playoffs, but I think there's one of those teams that goes out pretty early in the playoffs.
I'm going to say contender for the same reasons I said the Giants, and they actually have wide receivers. The defense definitely took a step back, but Kenneth Walker, it doesn't matter. It's the movie Rockstar, where it doesn't matter who the lead singer is. It's going to sound the same. And with running game in Seattle, Kenneth Walker is elite already. He's what Javonte Williams, people expected Javonte Williams to be his rookie year. Kenneth Walker already is. So I say contender.
Okay, that makes sense. Moving to the AFC, a couple of teams that I have my eye on here. Number one, the 6-3 New York Jets.
Pretender. Period.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't trust Zach Wilson. With Breece Hall gone now, they're a team that wants to be built on the run game. AVT injured for the season. I believe, they might bring in Laurent Tardif to
Doctor
or whatever. Yeah, Doctor, could say. Yeah. His name is hard enough to say. Now I got to add Doctor. Now we're just all over the place. But I'm with you. Yeah, I don't buy into the Jets yet. They're a team that I think need like a Ryan Tannehill moment, I think, for them to be a team that you trust a little more. They need like a Derek Carr or something like that. Maybe Jared Goff or something. I just think they need better than Zach Wilson before I'll be able to believe in them. The Chargers, 5-4. I'm going to say pretender. They have talent, but I think they're just going to always find a way to lose. And they've had a lot of injuries this year too. So I just don't think they have enough to really make a push.
I'm going to say contender. And we're going to find out Sunday night on the flex game against Kansas City. We're going to find out. I love flexing. We should be able to flex from week one. I don't care.
Yes.
Flex it.
Yeah.
Make it sexy. Who cares?
It's an entertainment product. So
they're the team that nobody wanted to see in the playoffs last year. And they were a bad timeout that forced the Raiders to go win the game. Say, you know what? Screw you for calling a timeout. So, and nobody wants to see them. Keenan Allen will be back. Mike Williams will be back in the next couple weeks. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa will be back before the playoffs. You do not want to see this team ever at full strength.
That's fair.
You know what? Just with that game that I just mentioned, there are going to be a bunch of other games that are going to be super exciting to watch this weekend, as we really start to see the beginning of the playoff picture, like the mist kind of going away, and we're going to start to slowly see the teams that are emerging that could potentially make a playoff push. We will talk about all of the games that we're excited about in week 11 next. BetOnline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. I talk about this all the time. They have next coach to get fired odds. There are a lot of books that don't have negative things like that. BetOnline says, bring on the negative, baby. We don't really care. They have everything. If you want to pick who's going to win your favorite division, if you want to pick the Packers to win the NFC North and go on a ridiculous run, who knows? You can do whatever you want over at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, the game starts. All right. This is it, Tyler. This is what we do. Okay? Alex Clancy, Tyler Rowland, thanks for making Locked On NFL your first listen each and every day. If you have not joined us yet, the final segment of every Thursday Locked On NFL podcast that Tyler and I host, we look ahead towards some of our favorite matchups going on in the respective week that we're talking about. And there are a cavalcade. There are a bevy. There are a litany of great games to watch on Sunday and Monday coming up. Tyler, why don't you giddy up here and give me a couple of your favies?
Okay, so I'll say this. I don't want to cut your legs out from under you on what you just said, but I think this is actually maybe one of the more boring slates that we've had recently. There aren't a ton of good games, if I'm fair, but there are still some good ones in there. And I'm going to pick one that maybe doesn't look as cute on paper, but I think it'd be an interesting one. I want to see how the Eagles respond on the road against the Colts. the Colts are one of these teams that, yes, they've played awful at times. They've looked terrible. They've been the biggest embarrassment in the league at times this year. But the reality is that Jeff Saturday situation turned from a joke to a big rallying cry from them. And you can laugh about things like that, but in football, that sort of camaraderie and kind of banding together, it matters. So I could see the Colts going on a little tear here, and Matt Ryan's obviously better than Sam Ehlinger. Jonathan Taylor looks back healthy. They have weapons out there with Michael Pittman, and they have Paris Campbell, and the defense, although they lost, Shaquille Leonard, who should probably go back to Darius because his career has been pretty rough since that change. But they still have some pretty good linebackers out there. Stephon Gilmore's playing good football. I think that the Colts, they beat the Chiefs. If you're laughing right now, they beat the Chiefs earlier this year when times were rough. So the Colts have the ability and have the players to beat a good team, and it's in Indy. The Eagles coming off that upsetting loss. I think there is a chance that this is an excellent football game, and I really like the Colts to pull the upset in this one. They're going to run the ball down the Eagles' throat, and they're going to hold the ball, and they're going to make enough plays on defense. I think the Colts win this game, and it's going to be an entertaining one at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, that's good. And, I vehemently disagree. I think this is a fantastic slate. and well, it's because of the potency of the games that are good. So let me explain. Okay. So one, the Browns and Bills, okay? Just like what you said with Philly, that was a gut-wrenching way to lose a football game by the Bills. And the Bills have been perennially they have not been a good organization. Yes, they've made Super Bowl 4 times and lost 4 times, okay? All that they have in the back of their head is, got to get to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Got to get. So anytime things get skewed a little bit, Josh Allen, injured, okay? We'll see what happens. Things can turn so quickly in the NFL, and I'm not saying that they're going to lose this game by any stretch, but Cleveland is a good enough team to beat the Bills on a random Sunday.
Make it tough.
And if the Bills lose again and Miami happens to win, we're going to have a completely different conversation about the AFC East. So I agree with you about that. And I know the Dolphins are on bye this week, but so there's that one for me. There's the Rams and Saints. If the Rams lose again, there's
they're done.
I know, but it's gonna be the final nail. So this week is the final nail.
You're just gonna enjoy it.
A bunch of teams. Well, yeah.
They're playing in New Orleans, so I think they will lose that game. We gotta mention the obvious one. 8-1 Vikings against the 6-3 Cowboys. That's 4:25. That's the big game on CBS in the 4 o'clock window. That's going to be an excellent one to watch. Will the Cowboys respond from the loss against the Packers, staying up north? The Vikings coming off the biggest win of the year. I'm taking the Cowboys in that one personally. I think the Vikings are coming off that huge emotional high, come back home. I think they'll lose that game to Dallas.
Yeah, and the last time they played, they lost to Dallas and Cooper Rush at home, I believe, which was kind of the wheels falling off last year for Minnesota. And then there is one more. I know that I mentioned the Chiefs, and
of course,
the Chiefs and Chargers. We talked about this. Chiefs and Chargers should play 17 times a year. That's the only teams that should play each other. Because it's just going to be popcorn watching. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to make Al Michaels miss Sunday Night Football. And then one more nail in the coffin game for me.
Yes,
stays in the AFC West, and it's the Raiders and Broncos. Two teams that expected great things, okay? If the Broncos lose, one of these coaches could get fired after this game. You never know.
Nathaniel Hackett will get fired if the Broncos lose this game.
And especially because the Raiders have not won a game on the road yet this year. They're 0-5. So this is it's just going to be popcorn watching. It's like watching.
Well, one of the Raiders' 2 wins is against the Broncos, so they can't let that happen.
Oh, my goodness gracious. But the slate, you're right. And then I have to mention Monday night, another potential nail-in-the-coffin game for the Cardinals and 49ers in Mexico City. If the Cardinals with Colt McCoy, it looks it's going to be Colt McCoy. Jeremy Fowler reported yesterday that Kyler Murray is going to miss a week or so. If Colt McCoy can come in, if Hollywood Brown comes back, he's off IR now. If he comes back and plays this week,
that's enough weapons for Colt McCoy to
so many to dink and dunk and all the way to La La Land. If the Cardinals can get a victory in Mexico City against the 49ers, who look to be the leader of the pack coming out of the NFC at this point, regardless of record, it'll be a massive win for the Cardinals, massive shift up in the NFC West.
that's another Scooby-Doo game to me because
sure.
if we rip the mask off at the end after a Cardinals win and the Cardinals are 5-6 and the 49ers are 5-5, it's, oh, the 49ers look good, but they just can't get over that hump. They're always going to be middling like that. And then, oh, the Cardinals are back in it in that division. The Cardinals are right there. But if the Cardinals lose and San Francisco wins, it's like, oh, San Francisco is who we thought they are. They are that, leader of the pack regardless of record in the NFC. And then the Cardinals, of course, their season would pretty much be over. But that's going to do it for this Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Again, we are your local experts, Tyler Rowland and Alex Clancy. Thanks for tuning in. You're going to have Chris Carter and your boy Q here on the Friday show to break down all the biggest stories in the NFL. And then we'll see you guys next Thursday. Football is here. Enjoy the weekend.